Tonight on NAIT NewsWatch.
An increase in lead is found in Edmonton's drinking water. Should Edmontonians be concerned?
We had one homeowner who vowed that he's not going to drink his tap water anymore until he can get it fixed.
The next generation learned the hard reality of war with the annual No Stone Left Alone event.
One of the soldiers' spirit will always be alive as long as I'm alive.
Alberta filmmakers take action, focusing their anger on recent budget cuts.
Might be time to move to another province.
NewsWatch starts now.
Good evening. A group of journalism students have finished a project in the quality of Edmonton's drinking water, only to find that what is coming from your taps is not as safe as it looks.
Students from MacEwan University found that Edmonton is one of Canada's major cities to have high levels of lead in its water, prompting many of its residents to worry about what they are drinking. James Snedden joins us live from the South Lobby with more on that story.
Thank you, Shelby. Thank you, Jaylene. Investigative journalism students from MacEwan participated in a national study to assess the quality of drinking water throughout Canada. They knocked on hundreds of Edmontonians' doors, gave several interviews and collected up to 70 water samples for them to be assessed in a lab. And the results came back as a shock to some.
It looks and tastes fine, but a recent study has shown that your water contains more than just H2O. A class of journalism students from MacEwan teamed up with other universities across Canada to study how safe drinking water really is. They found that the water in Edmonton has high levels of lead, causing them to raise a national health concern.
We had one homeowner who their water test result came back at 48 parts per billion, so nearly 10 times the recommended guideline. And that was really the start of our investigation, was looking at this is a bigger health issue than we realized.
MacEwan is one of 9 universities to investigate water quality on a national scale. The group began researching in January and later found that 11 major cities had been exposed to lead contamination. Edmonton and Calgary have shown alarming results. Some of Edmonton's water samples contained 120 times the federal limit, while Calgary's exceeded 4 times the recommended guideline. The government plans to replace the lead pipes across the province, and this has caused a mixed response amongst the city's residents.
I think it's an extremely time-consuming and expensive proposition.
Money should be focused on, redoing the pipelines and focusing the money on that because, water is important.
Alberta's Environmental Health Minister says that the UCP will invest $25 million in replacing existing pipelines in Edmonton and Calgary. This came after a report from EPCOR showed excessive lead levels in water since 2008. The highest readings included 214 parts per billion in 2014 and 428 parts per billion in 2017. The news has forced some homeowners to fear for their safety and take drastic action.
And the idea that this issue is still of concern today was surprising. We had one homeowner who vowed that he's not going to drink his tap water anymore until he can get it fixed. He was just totally flabbergasted.
EPCOR says that it will add a lead inhibitor called orthophosphate to its pipelines to limit the amount of lead slipping into water. It reassures residents that this substance is completely safe for drinking water and says that the 2 main water treatment plants within the city will contain orthophosphate-induced pipes by 2020.
So James, how has the mayor responded to these findings?
Well, Mayor Don Iverson says that he is always in constant contact with EPCOR regarding the quality of water and sanitation within the city. He has thanked EPCOR for their updates with this current situation and for reassuring homeowners that their health is of no concern regarding the water.
And have other cities across Canada taken action to deal with this issue?
Well, it depends across the country because many cities have had different reactions. Montreal has had an almost immediate reaction and they insist that they will replace lead pipes within their city very soon. Regina and neighbouring communities within Saskatchewan say that they are now assessing water levels in terms of the lead quality. The investigative journalist professor at MacEwan University has praised his students for taking part in this and says that he is proud of them for bringing this issue to national attention.
Thanks, James. That's James Snedden reporting live from the South Lobby tonight. Researchers at the U of A are a step closer to finding the cure for blood cancer after receiving a financial boost. The team of scientists received a $100,000 grant through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The money will be used to develop technology to treat blood cancer cells. Their idea is to find a better way to deliver immunotherapy to attack cancerous cells.
They basically took a risk on us that they looked at the idea, they said this is good, and if it is successful, it will make a big impact in the treatment of cancer. And so it's one of those high risk, high reward kind of situations where they felt comfortable investing in the company.
Depending on the results from this first stage of research, the team could apply for a $1 million grant to take their project to the second stage.
You're watching NAIT NewsWatch, the next generation of news.
Police are warning drivers not to leave vehicles idling with their keys in the ignition, as there have been an increased number of thefts at the start of this winter season. Officers say now that the cold weather is here, more people are warming their vehicles and leaving them unattended. They're already seeing an increase in vehicle thefts.
Some of these vehicles are being used in other break-and-enters and stuff like that. A lot of them frauds, so they're using stolen vehicles and they can't kind of trace them.
EPS says the best way to start your vehicle is with a remote car starter, or if you have a second pair of keys, use them to start the car and lock it behind you.
The city says it's ready to tackle Edmonton's winter roads with a new plan of action. While graders and sanding trucks sat idle in the city's workyard earlier this week, officials say they have over 500 staff hired to help clear roads. One big change this year, calcium chloride will no longer be used to de-ice the roads. The decision was made by council in October. Sand and salt will be used instead.
We have over 500 staff currently on 24/7 rotation. Edmonton is a big city, and we're looking to maintain all of those roadways, keeping our roadways safe and reliable.
The city says it will have well over 600 pieces of equipment to clear Edmonton roads, and that they'll be using a priority system. Freeways, bus routes, and most commonly used roads will be done first within 48 hours of a storm.
This week leading up to Remembrance Day Monday, several generations of Edmontonians gathered to reflect on the sacrifices made by soldiers who fought for our freedom. Hundreds of people attended the No Stone Left Alone ceremony on Monday. It was one of dozens that took place across Canada to honor those who lost their lives. Students placed a poppy on the gravestones of all the fallen soldiers.
I think that it's really important for the younger generations to see what our past is. They only really hear about it in stories, but I think it's really important for them to really see and understand and hear how much people gave for them.
No Stone Left Alone started in 2011 with students putting 4,300 poppies on gravestones. Today, that number has grown to over 63,000 poppies placed across Canada.
While thousands of post-secondary students are on Reading Week starting tomorrow, that's not the same story for students here at NAIT. MacEwan and University of Alberta implemented the fall break a few years ago. However, at this time, NAIT only offers a spring reading break. The breaks were created to help students reduce stress. NAIT says it's heard from staff and students and is working on possibly implementing a fall break in the future.
We've heard lots over the years from students about the desire to have some kind of fall break. So it's something that NAIT has heard and we've listened to and we've been looking into for quite a while now, yeah.
NAIT says that they're hoping to make a decision by the end of the term. Many industries saw cuts in the recent UCP budget, and Alberta's film industry saw some changes of its own.
Yeah, our Zachary Flynn shares how the new changes will impact both large and small productions in Alberta.
Thanks, guys. While many public sectors are condemning the cuts that came with this year's budget, Alberta filmmakers are partially praising the government for its choice to go to a tax credit system. But others fear that the fine print may mean the death of some of their future projects.
We've been advocating for a tax credit in Alberta for, over 3 decades. So this is the first government that's had the vision and the political will to make that happen.
Filmmakers will see a new film tax credit replace the old screen-based production grant. The new tax credit program will start with $15 million in 2020 as they phase out the old program and pay out grants already approved by the previous government. They will cap the two programs collectively at $45 million each year during the process.
And producers like me, we're bringing 70 to 80% of our financing from outside of the province and leaving it here.
However, many local small producers rely on around 90% of their funding from the government, with 30% coming from provincial grants. The new tax credit covers less of those costs and will leave a new gap to fill. Those who rely heavily on these grants say it could be catastrophic for some of their projects.
I have 3 projects in development, and I've got to rethink them all on how we're going to fund them. We're starting to look at GoFundMe pages, but those only bring in so much. Might be time to move to another province.
Alberta is the only province in Canada that puts a cap on its film tax credits.
Now, if this fund dries up, everybody's going to move because they're not going to give up their careers. This is what they love doing. So everyone's going to Vancouver or Manitoba.
The important thing for us is getting to a place in the province where the tax credit is uncapped.
The City of Edmonton announced Wednesday that it will make $4 million available in the Screen Media Fund that will support the local film, video game, and digital media industries. The fund will contribute up to $250,000 or up to 15% of a project's cost in the form of returnable investments or loans.
Thanks, Zach. That's Zachary Flynn reporting. Each year, our province celebrates the many diverse and culturally important books that come to life. November 6, 2019 is declared as the second annual Alberta Book Day. The event showcases the great work Alberta publishers do and to give a better understanding of how the industry works. Throughout the day, publishing booths were set up to talk shop and offer free books to visitors. Their hope is for the government to see the importance of their investment in the growth and sustainability of publishing books.
There are 29 publishers represented today. There are 31 in the association who all publish fantastic books in a real range of genres, from graphic novels and comic books through to literary fiction, through to education books.
Alberta's book publishing industry contributes over $29 million annually to the province's GDP and employs 137 full-time, part-time, and freelance workers. Coming up after the break, NAIT discusses student housing.
How your voice can be heard with NAIT's future plans.
I also believe that student housing allows students to develop a stronger relationship with NAIT and feel a part of that NAIT family.
A couple football teams are heading into playoffs and whose hands are getting hot, and I'm going to teach you a little bit about volleyball. All that and more coming up in sports. I wasn't ready!
Now, it still may be fall, but the snow on the ground makes it feel like we're walking in a winter wonderland. And this weekend isn't supposed to get any better. I have more in weather.
The NAIT Nugget is your NAIT student newspaper. Join us every Tuesday from 12 to 1 for a free lunch, workshops, and tips to improve your writing and to pick up an article. You'll get paid up to $15 for every article that you write. Join us in room E102 or come say hi at our new office in O105. The NAIT Nugget. By the students, for the students.
Well, the snow is here, Jaylene, and it is so cold outside. I don't know about you, but I think it's time to pop out some Mariah Carey Christmas CDs.
Shelby, can you at least wait until it's December?
Well, it certainly feels like December outside right now. Here's Paul Holeva for weather.
Thanks, guys. We're going to be looking at Calgary to start things here. Cloudy with a high of -1 and a low of -13. Not bad for our city down south. Let's now look at Jasper, where Marmot Basin is now opening today. It's a perfect weekend to go out for some skiing and snowboarding. High of -8 and a low of -13. Not bad. We're going to look at Fort McMurray now. We're expecting cloudy, breezy weather with a high of -11 and a low of -13. All right, now let's check things out in Edmonton, where we have a high of -7 and a low of -21 with some snow showers here and there. So everyone driving, just make sure you're keeping things slow. Let's look at our averages, where there's a high of +1 and a low of -7. We're a little bit lower than that, so bundle up, everyone. Edmonton records 15 degrees back in 1905. I could use that right now with a record low of -27 in 1924. We're a little bit above that, but almost getting closer there. That's all I have here for weather. Send it back to you guys in the studio.
NewsWatch Weather, sponsored by NR92 Campus Radio.
The last NAIT student housing survey was done 6 years ago. With the talk of student residence on campus rising, NAIT felt it best to get an update.
A survey was sent out to all NAIT students this Monday asking for their opinions on a residential area here on main campus. Alberta Book reports.
We have secured NAIT's future for the next 100 years and beyond.
Earlier this year, NAIT refreshed their campus development master plan, where the talk of student residence was brought up. NAIT not only purchased a part of the Blatchford development site, but also cut a separate deal with the city for the transit garage property north of main campus. Here we are at the Blatchford development site that NAIT purchased way back in February of this year. With this space, NAIT's nearly going to be doubling in size, and their plan is to build some residential areas for NAIT students.
The student housing survey is really the basis of all of our plans. So we try to involve the whole student community in that survey, give people an opportunity to voice what their preferences are, and then we use that input from the survey to develop the program and the plan moving forwards.
If survey takers answer yes for the first question, they will then be shown multiple different room designs. This includes the 12-bedroom villa, 3-bedroom apartment, studio apartment, and nano suite.
Before coming here, I was checking the houses nearby NAIT. It's quite expensive, so hopefully NAIT would give the students a reasonable price.
Students who clicked no for the first question will be introduced to collegias, home away from home areas designed for students to relax, socialize, and or use a kitchen in a home-like environment. The survey ends November 15 at 4 p.m. For NAIT NewsWatch, Alberta Book.
Our very own NAIT Ooks women's soccer team are in nationals here in Edmonton.
Yeah, Montana went out and got us highlights of that game. I can't believe those girls played outside in -15-degree weather.
Neither can I. I couldn't imagine that. Let's see what Montana has for us this week in sports.
Thanks, guys. The women's Ooks soccer team beat out Concordia in the ACAC Provincial Championships last weekend. This week, they made their 10th appearance in the CCAA National Championships, playing against Dynamique de Sainte-Foy from Quebec in the quarterfinal game. The game started out rough, physically and score-wise. 2 minutes into the first half, Laurie Champagne of Quebec sends one home from a corner kick. After going undefeated all season and dominating their league, the Ooks seemed a little bit discouraged after the quick first goal. Adding to the frustration, 18 minutes in, Sainte-Foy would bring their lead up a notch when Rosalie Dumont scores her first of the game. Pushing back in hopes for a TSN turning point comeback, Ooks goaltender Tony Burse stretched a couple sweet saves, but the score remained in Quebec's favor heading into the second half. The half didn't see very much action until the 55-minute mark when Dumont tapped in her second of the game, giving Sainte-Foy a 3-0 lead over the Ooks. They would eventually go on to get a fourth goal to close out the quarterfinal. ACAC Player of the Year Marissa Webb says her team did well, but they just fell a little bit short.
I feel like we stayed as a team most of the game. I feel like we definitely could have worked on passing and movement a bit better. I think we played a good game, definitely in the first half. We had a lot of possession, but it just didn't work out in the end.
Ooh, ouch! NAIT Ooks' hands are on fire and they just keep burning up. 6 goals in 3 games? She just can't be stopped. With 28 goals and 50 points under her belt as an Ook, third-year player Megan LeBlanc continues to be a force to reckon with on game day. In what may be her best season yet, she is on track to double her goals from her last 2 seasons. Scoring 4 out of 6 goals for the Ooks in their last game, LeBlanc says winning a game like that is a team effort.
It felt really good. I mean, obviously didn't do it alone. Got to give a lot to my line mates there. Kind of got lucky on a couple of those, but it is a good game. When my line's having fun, we tend to do really well. So sometimes we just got to remember to take a step back and just have some fun with it, and then we usually do a lot better.
The women play tonight at 7 o'clock against Red Deer College right here at NAIT. Playoffs, baby! After falling short of the playoffs last season, the Green and Gold are looking for redemption. The Edmonton Eskimos finished the regular season with their first losing record since 2013, going 8-10. But all they're focused on now is their next game. This Sunday, the Edmonton Eskimos will be taking on the Montreal Alouettes in the Eastern semi-final. Starting quarterback Trevor Harris says games like this one are the reason he plays.
These are the games that have a lot of weight to them. These are the ones that you play for. You don't pretend in your backyard during preseason or regular season games. You're in your backyard when you're 8 years old and saying, fourth quarter, 4th and 12, or 3rd and 12, 7 seconds left, playoff game, or in the Super Bowl or Grey Cup, so those are the things you imagine. And so these are the games you live for, so it'll be a lot of fun.
The Eskimos went 1-1 against the Alouettes in the regular season. The game starts at 11 a.m. from Molson Stadium in Montreal. 2 Edmonton high school football teams go head-to-head in the provincial quarterfinal and the city final game this weekend for the 2nd year in a row. The 4th-ranked Harry Ainley Titans and the 2nd-ranked Salisbury Sabres will be hitting the field at Commonwealth tonight with a lot on the line. Although the Titans are ranked lower, they have been beating teams this season by as big of a deficit as 63-0. Head coach Tyler Greenslade says his game plan for this weekend is to keep his players' heads in the game.
Okay, next play, let's go. Just based off of our experience the last 2 years of going to the provincial final, I just kind of know you got to take it day by day and try to keep the kids as focused as possible. It's not always easy with a whole bunch of high school aged boys, but it's certainly a lot of fun, and we just try to take it day by day and go one step at a time.
Their game will be at 7:30 p.m. at Commonwealth Stadium. Do you call it hitting or spiking? Either way, yesterday I learned how to do a proper volleyball approach, and I wish I was a little bit more in shape for this challenge because I think my leg is cramping. Let's check it out. I got together with my good friend Erin and her gym class to learn how to do a proper volleyball approach.
First step is going to be left, right, left. Second step, it's your big step. You want to get nice and low with this step so that on this step, you can come and explode.
It's best to just catch the ball a couple times to get your footwork and timing down so that your hand-eye is ready for when you hit.
The only thing you're focusing on is a high contact point.
Keep your elbow in and snap your wrist when you hit the ball to get a good downspin. It might take a couple tries to get the right swing, but don't get discouraged. It takes a little while to get comfortable.
Ready? Get in. Got it, girl. Oh, the one shot.
Once you have your swing down, it's important to focus on your passing. Square your feet to the ball and keep your arms level. Use your legs for power. I decided to take my new skill for a spin. Luckily, the class let me join in on their game for a bit. It was exhausting, and they destroyed me.
I'm actually terrible at volleyball because I end up always hurting my wrists right here when I, what do you call it when you set it up?
Shelby, man, that's a pass.
What a fun end zone challenge, Montana. I wish I could have done that.
Well, maybe you guys can take some lessons with Erin. I'm sure Shelby needs it.
Oh, nice. Coming up after the break, we visit the Edmonton Emergency Relief Services Society.
Learn how you can help the less fortunate this winter.
It's important because we have lots of people who is in need.
It may be a little chilly outside, but there have been some great events happening indoors in our city this week. I'm here at the Yardbird Suite, where this week the 13th annual Yardbird Canadian Jazz Fest has been underway. Coming up at entertainment, I talked to one of the artists featured in the festival, and our entertainment reporter gives you a peek at Farm Fair.
A charity that collects blankets for those in need needs your help.
Yeah, we headed downtown to the Edmonton Emergency Relief Services to help them with their blanket campaign to help the less fortunate stay warm this winter. This year, Edmonton Emergency Relief Services are trying to gather at least 10,000 blankets. Their campaign kicked off Tuesday, and we helped them fill their shelves with blanket donations.
We have lots of people who is in need. You're staying home and cozy and warm, and other people are on the streets and they are cold, so it's good to help always each other.
Aside from blankets, the organization also sells clothing for people of all ages at a discounted price to make it more affordable for low-income families. With the money sold from their clothing, they use it to buy items like undergarments that can't be donated. We even found a few shirts that we liked ourselves.
Farm Fair International is here at the Edmonton Expo Center this week, and I think I want to pop by to visit some farm animals. I don't know about you, Jaylene, but I hear they actually bring them right into the Expo Center.
It sounds so cute. I definitely want to head down there and pet some sheep. There's so much happening in our city this week. Here's Aaron Pinkson with entertainment to give us a sneak peek at a few of these great events.
Thanks, Jaylene and Shelby. Farm Fair International has moved back to the Expo Center this weekend. Guests get to see livestock up close at the petting farm and can watch dogs take part in different competitions. Chelsea Richardson has more on that story.
For over 45 years, Northlands has put on Farm Fair International. The show is one of Canada's top agriculture showcases. It has a variety of Western excitement that educates guests about purebred and cattle. One of the more popular events at Farm Fair is the stock dog competitions. This is a timed event where stock dogs must run sheep through obstacles as they herd them into a pen. The handlers have to stand in a designated area while only being able to communicate to their dogs through whistles or voice commands. Elena Leach has been training stock dogs for 4 years and says her and her dog Stella have been learning together to do the job that needs to be done out on the course.
It supports ag in Alberta, and I like that. I like that a lot of the farmers that are here that don't use dogs at home kind of watch and they're like, oh, that's really cool. I could use a dog instead of a quad, or along with my horses when I'm moving cows, that kind of thing.
Throughout the year, the handlers and their dogs will continue to do arena and field trials to promote the Working Stock Dogs Association.
Farm Fair International is going till November 10th, and you can catch the stock dog competitions that are showcasing canine intelligence. They're popular all over the world, from the UK to here in Edmonton. For NAIT NewsWatch, I'm Chelsea Richardson. The 13th annual Yardbird Canadian Jazz Festival is on now at the Yardbird Suite just off White Avenue. Jazz artists from across the country come to this renowned festival. Gentian MG Trio, a jazz group based out of Montreal, took the stage Thursday.
They have been on a Western Canada tour for the past few days and have been looking forward to playing at the Yardbird Suite and at this festival.
Festivals, I think, are very important for everyone, for the whole community. It's like kind of a get-together of music lovers, including people who listen and people who play, and I think it's a great way for everyone to discover music.
9 groups are performing throughout the festival this week, and it wraps up this Saturday with another group from Montreal. A local art studio is getting a special showcase opportunity at the Edmonton Expo Centre in their new art pavilion. The Expo Centre has partnered with the Nina Haggerty Centre for the Arts to bring a new art display to the Expo lobby. Wall-sized art brightens up the pavilion, and the 9 artists get the chance to see their work displayed in new formats and gain exposure.
We really want to use our building to the best ability that we can. And one way of doing this is inviting members of our community, like the Nina, into our building to showcase art, to really support our community is what we want to do here.
The new art pavilion is a permanent gallery location, and the Expo Centre hopes to add even more art from artists at the Nina in 2020. The TELUS World of Science is premiering a new IMAX film titled Backyard Wilderness, with a message to encourage people to put their phones and digital devices away so they can explore the nature in their own backyard.
And step outside into Backyard Wilderness.
The film follows Katie and her family as they put their electronic devices away to explore their own city and backyard. Katie meets animals and sees their habitats throughout the season. There's a spotted salamander, cool facts about ladybugs, and a wooden duckling who learns to fly.
One of the interesting connections they're making is the statement that Wi-Fi is not the only connection that matters. Our connection to nature is what matters, and it really highlights this family and how they're coming together through nature instead of through their iPads and iPhones.
Many of the animals in the film can be seen in Edmontonians' own backyard too. Backyard Wilderness opens at the TELUS World of Science today. Divorced, Beheaded, Live, a modern retelling of King Henry VIII's wives and their dramatic stories, is taking the Citadel by storm. The musical Six brings the Tudor queens into the 21st century as pop stars. The wives all get the chance to sing their piece and tell their story to decide who suffered in the most in their marriages to King Henry. The queen who wins will be named the lead singer of their group. The show first premiered at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in 2017. Catch Six here in Edmonton until November 24th. This has been your look at a few entertainment stories in our city this week. Thanks for watching. Back to you, Jaylene and Shelby.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of NAIT NewsWatch.
Tune in next week for more stories across the city. Have a great weekend.